Hello, 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 everyone. It is Thursday. It is time for another IATSE Game Worker stream. Uh, Welcome, everybody. This week, I would love to introduce you to my co host this week. Somebody new! Can you believe it? Oh my god. I'm so excited to have a new person.
We
Um,
got the Latino flavor in town. Let's go.
yes, but also, somebody new and somebody like Carlos, who is a huge voice behind what we're trying to achieve for game workers and is very pro union. But um,
I drive.
uh, Carlos, would you like to introduce yourself? Let everybody know like what you do, where you're
Sure.
from.
So my name is Carlos Joel Nieves, all in Spanish. I'm originally from Puerto Rico, and some years back, I moved from the island to Austin, Texas, and I've been on and off the game industry for almost like 10-year-ish through indie project, through changing, through doing everything to survive, and also at the same time, when possible, letting my voice heard, like with activism and that type of stuff.
It's awesome. I'm so glad you're here to talk with me this week about everyone's favorite topic, artificial intelligence.
Love it.
Do you?
Uh, let's go. I love having this conversation. To be honest,
Yeah.
when you were asking, "Hey, who can help me?" I was like, I'm do not want to answer because either I'm gonna go on a rant or I'm gonna give way too much information about this because it's the one subject that keeps me up awake at night. Not because of the tool itself, but because of who's developing and who's managing all of this. That's pretty much what it boils down to, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, like, I think this is something that I talked to a reporter about when we were at GDC, but, you know, it's like Pandora's out of the box now.
Yep.
We can't necessarily put it back in. But what can we do when everybody currently feels helpless and powerless against it, right? Um, do you get that sense from people, Carlos?
Um, Yes and no, because right now, due to the people that are kind of managing social media platforms like Elon Musk, Facebook with Zuckerberg, they pretty much have been hijacked for AI bros, people that use AI for everything and anything, and they're like praising the miracle of what is AI or machine learning type of deal. And those voices seem to be the most loud, but I know that's a minority because when I talk to people one on one or phone call, Zoom, or in person, it's always with the same worry. So I would say it's a strong minority that wants this to happen, like AI at all costs, but the majority of people are concerned regardless of their background.
Yeah, I think that's also something that I hear a lot is that it's not limited to like just creatives or um, just concept artists. It's like people in all facets of the game industry. Um, Real quick, Ibinky in the chat says your
Mhm.
mic is a little quiet. Can you let me know if that fixed it? Because I did turn it up on my end. It might have been a me
Is it
issue.
my mic or yours?
It might have been because I had Chrome volume down, but I turned it
I
up.
can
I
add that a little
cranked
bit.
it.
How about there?
It sounds good to me.
Okay.
What's up,
Let's try something.
Shada24? Glad to see you here. Um, but yeah, so ultimately, it's something that right now we don't have a lot of control over its implementation or how it gets used in our pipelines at work.
Mm-hmm.
Um, have you noticed or have you interacted with anybody in the games industry that has been either like straight up replaced by AI or has been asked by management to use it as a tool in their pipeline yet?
No. I know of companies that I can not mention by name because sources that I have that they already started looking into it type of deal that it's like an R&D type of process, research and development, and how it can be implemented, who's the people that can be let go, who's the people that cannot be let go, who are the people that are going to stay, but in 10 years we can let them go. And all those talks are happening right now because it's such a large operation, it can't really be implemented that fast. If not, it will crash and burn. And you can see that with every single company that has relied completely on AI, they have crashed and burned. You know, like I see a lot of students. I think there's a misconception publicly in the game industry, also like social media in general, that a lot of the developers currently don't have a job because of AI, and that's not really true. And that's like a kind of a misconception people are having currently, and it's mostly people that either don't work in the game industry or they're about to work in the game industry and they're looking at a lot of things, a lot of sources, and there's multiple voices that can add to that.
Yeah, I think I feel like it's very similar to a time that uh, was before my time working in animation, but like I feel like it's a similar narrative where in traditional animation, like your traditional 2D hand drawn animation for Disney films, and then Pixar came out with CG. And everybody was like, oh my God, 2D animation is destroyed forever. It's never going to be a thing.
Dead.
And it did destroy Disney's desire to create 2D animated films. And the last one they did make was, Frog Princess. But that's not to say that 2D animation as a whole died. It still exists. Not everything is CG. So, I feel like there's a lot of fear surrounding it because the future is always uncertain. So what can we do now to make the future less uncertain, right?
With the current tools and everything that we have available to us, I would say the first thing would be learning about the history in the tech industry in general, because video games go all the way back to the 60s, literally during the development of the Cold War, and seeing how different technologies have changed certain roles, and seeing the difference between, let's say, Photoshop when it's invented instead of drawing on paper, and how that affected back in the 90s, and just looking at the transition and seeing if that's applicable to AI. Because the main thing is that when Photoshop and all this was developed, wasn't specifically developed with one thing in mind, that was replacing the workers, replacing everybody to pretty much have zero costs in development or in production in general. And learning history, that's the first one. And the second one is just talking to other people inside the industry, very importantly. Friends, family, people that you go to at school or you go to at work, finding those connections that share the same values, same mentality, and seeing how you can teach them or they can teach you, and you can go in between and create that conversation. Then we need to have some safeguards in the coming years.
Definitely. And Stussy 5150 brings it up in the chat that it reminds them of the transition between celluloid to digital in film, which again, it's a very similar thing right now, right?
My grandpa saw that.
Did he? Amazing.
Yeah, it's yeah. I'm like, oh my god, no, yes.
And Joviex. I'm sorry, my eyes. I need new reading glasses. Anyway, Joviex brings up the idea that the only way to fight fear and ignorance is with knowledge and understanding, and I fully agree that alone is a lot of what holds us back from organizing is not understanding unionism and what a union can do and how it works and all of that information. And the only way that we can combat that is by educating one another about all of the things that have to go into a union to form it. And then it becomes less scary because we recognize that it is us. We are the union. We are forming it. And especially with our National Game Worker Union at the IATSE, we're trying to form it from scratch. So it's up to us to determine exactly how it is formed and how it shapes up and charter a brand new local under the IA flag. So yeah, it's all brand new. And Zephyr Zen in the chat said, "Good to see you, Carlos. I don't know if you know
Hey, what's
Zephyr
up?
Zen."
No, I can't see the chat, so I'm relying on you. It's like, hi guys, hi y'all, y'all good? It's awesome, yo.
Yeah. I'll call it out. I'll call it out. I'll call out all your
Alright.
fans in the chat, Carlos. But glad to see some new folks here. Glad to see some old folks
Oh,
here.
that's cool,
Always
man.
love new people tuning in. But yeah, so thinking of that fear of the unknown with AI,
Hmm.
and knowing that knowledge is power. Um,
Hmm.
what could we ultimately do to combat this at the negotiating table? You know,
Mm.
Carlos, maybe you've heard of like some of the things that have happened in recent with like the Writers Guild.
Oh
Um,
yeah, I've been paying attention to that. Right now, I'm paying attention. I'm pretty much connected to like different strikes, different unions, the Teamsters teams, how everything is developing because we've been in this labor year. It used to be a labor summer, now it's a whole labor year that this keeps happening. Yeah, keeps happening constantly. And also looking out for my adopted town, Austin, Texas, with the workers that got laid off in the Tesla factory. Because we gotta remember we're video games. I love video games, Union for video games, but we're all interconnected, and and their battle is our battle, and it should be vice versa.
100%. When you have strength in numbers and therefore having
Mhm.
solidarity across unions is incredibly important, especially when we're fighting a capitalist regime, you
Bro,
know?
I my dad was a captain in the Teamsters back in Puerto Rico, like
Yeah,
back in the day. And I can tell you how much I value the Teamsters, how much I value them. Specifically, also by doing the policy. They have a policy for those people that don't know that they don't cross picket lines. So in other words, if there's a picket or there's some type of expression or something that's happening, pro union wise, talks or whatever, the Teamsters will not cross the line. AKA their trucks won't go there, they won't deliver, they'll be like, hey, man, I can't do that. Mm, and turn right around. And that was one of the key things to shut Hollywood and really help the writers guilds and everybody like last summer, because that literally made places like Disney stop production of Wonder Man, what was it, and a bunch of other Disney shows.
yeah. Stussy 5150 is bringing up the AI Copyright
Mhm.
Disclosure Act. Yeah, the IA did endorse it because we believe in protections for workers against AI. Because where we're at right now, especially for our union in games, is like we don't have consent over artificial intelligence's use in the
Mhm.
workplace. And forming a union, artificial intelligence is on the negotiating table. It is a subject of bargaining, and
Oh, it has to.
therefore, yeah, and therefore, like your boss has to negotiate around it. And I'll bring up something that is near and dear to my heart, and I've probably mentioned it a few times on this stream, but in our contract at Titmouse in New York, this was all before AI was even on the table. This was before AI was even in the news by a whole, like, maybe 6 months, because we
Okay.
ratified our contract in June of 22.
Okay.
But in our contract, we wrote in a clause called technological change, and that clause states that if the company decides to change software, because our concern was that animation software changes, and therefore we could be deemed useless if we don't know the new animation software because nobody trained us on it. So
Hmm.
the technological change clause basically makes it so that we can't just be fired, we have to be retrained on the new software. So they can't just say, oh well, animate and not Toon Boom, well, you're out. And I feel like
You don't
that
know
has
the
uses in many
shortcuts. You're out.
places. You don't know the shortcuts, no.
You're out.
Um, but yes, do you feel like there's a lot outside of AI? Do you feel like there's a lot of like software changes like that within the games industry?
Yes and no. There's been software that has changed over the years. Software that has replaced other software, like Substance Designer, Substance Painter at this point pretty much replace Photoshop, specifically for assets and character development, that type of deal in the game industry, where it used to be a very, if not all, Photoshop base. But then again, that's between 2009 and 2014, around that time. And now we're seeing tools become a little bit easier to learn. There's more of a stronger community around the tools because some of the tools have gone open source, and that's like a super positive way right now. Now, where software has changed that I do not like is when Adobe justified the latest update of the year by including some form of AI inside Photoshop, inside Illustrator, inside Premiere. And this is where it gets dicey because then you need to read the claw, you need to know your work. Is your work available to them so the model can learn, so it can copy your style? And that's Adobe. That's like the biggest software company, in my opinion, in the world, right behind Microsoft and Autodesk.
Yeah. Adobe is massive. And I've been complaining about them for years for a different reason. But my reason is that they continually update their software and make it harder for people to use it.
My PDF reader will not open. This is why? It's like every single one of us.
Yeah, I mean, another animation anecdote, but we used Adobe Animate. We used Adobe Flash.
It used to be Flash, now
CS3, all the way up until 2019. Because the other versions of Flash and Animate, you'd open it, you'd draw a line, and it would crash.
Yeah,
it was impossible to use.
I think I started using it around CS or CC4, and that was a big struggle. You had to save your project every other second. When I was in college taking concept art 101 type of deal, I had a little timer on my damn Windows phone where every so seconds it was a reminder, save, and every so much hour, new copy, because it was that bad. Nowadays it's way better.
Oh yeah,
it was years and years of mediocrity.
Oh yeah. Zephyr Zen in the chat says, on a related note, while organizing at my previous employer, a coworker pointed out that their employment contract stipulated that they agreed to sign away their visual likeness in perpetuity. We worked QA, but they wanted our likeness anyway. Zephyr Zen, I feel like that is in a lot of contracts that I've had, because they want to use my likeness in a behind the scenes thing. And I'm not saying that it's not nefarious what your employer was trying to get out of you. They shouldn't own anything of yours in perpetuity.
It's weird because nowadays, if it's a really recent contract, I would say yes, there might be a basis and justification on why they want your faces. Maybe depending on the business or what exactly they're working on which part. Maybe those faces can be fed into a model, and the company will have an amazing tool at your cost, because literally AI runs at the cost of human lives. Because I don't know if y'all been paying attention, but here in Seattle, well, we have the little Amazon stores that you go in and they have facial ID and track, right? And one of the biggest fears we always had was, are they saving our face? Is this going to a database? And Amazon used to say it was one of their most advanced AI model ever. Well, it recently just came out that was fake. There was no AI model. They couldn't do it. Every time they try, it would literally crash. It was beyond the ability at that moment, of course. So what Amazon decided to do is hire a bunch of people in India, and those people would literally look at the security cameras or the camera that supposedly is registering your face, and is somebody watching you get everything and take everything, records a video, and then they do the whole receipt, and then they send you the receipt.
Wild.
No,
Uh,
man, dystopian wild.
Daenerys Isaac says, remember when Google fired that coder because he was like Google AI became sentient? Yeah, I remember that.
Oh God, I remember. That feels so
Yeah.
guilty.
That feels
I
so
was
long
one of.
ago.
I know, no, I just feel guilty because I was like, yeah, they maybe, but the way that he described it was so sci-fi. It's like, oh my God, I have Cortana. And I was like, no. But in reality, if he would have explained it a little bit better based on reality, yeah. And a lot of us were like, nah, we're good. It's not going to happen. They're not going to do that.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, the thing here is that we need to have the ability to have consent over its use in the workplace.
Yeah.
Um, and the ability to say you can't just straight up replace us with it.
Mm-hmm.
We, it can be used as a tool, and that's up to us. I think the Writers Guild did an excellent job uh,
My
with their
boys.
win
Love them.
for
Love them.
AI, which is that they
No.
basically made it so that the only way that AI can be used is if the writer themselves chooses to use it, so the employer
Yeah.
cannot force it into the pipeline. Um, and they also, another great thing that they have is staffing minimums in their contract so that, again, the employers can't just say, well, we're just going to have the script written by AI. It's like, no, you got to hire at least this many writers.
And also, let's
Um,
be clear. There's no point in this because those scripts are going to be awful.
you know, yeah.
That's the whole thing with no. That's the whole thing with AI. People
Hmm.
rely, people swear, and like it's an amazing result, and it's gonna be like the dude in Ireland, if I'm not mistaken, that did the Willy Wonka stuff, and he marketed and did everything based on AI, and he gave those contracts to the Willy Wonka experience in Dublin AI script, and it was like the most nonsensical, more idiotic thing that you will ever read in your life, and those actors had to act it as it was in the paper. It doesn't work because creativity comes from the spark of human beings. And the thing about art, because games are art, is what type of emotion in this is invoking in me. And when you see AI, AI stuff like a picture, a movie, or anything like that, it doesn't invoke anything because it correlates to something in your mind that but it's down Cali Valley that no, this is not it. And you don't appreciate it, it doesn't feel anything because it feels too alien.
Yeah.
Maybe in the future, yes, it's gonna be like a one-to-one virtual world, and we're gonna be all using HoloLens, and Apple is gonna have those sets in every school. Yeah, but not
Oh
now.
boy. Uh, A Sarah Viap says, somebody say writers, we sure did. Talking
Yeah,
about
boy.
writers. And Stussy brings up that was the difference between SAG and, well, the Screen Actors Guild and the Writers Guild. The Writers Guild defined
Yeah,
a writer as a human. Screen actors didn't do that, which is why the actors were mad. Yeah, I mean,
man.
I don't think they did the best with that.
Yeah, I
Um,
think. Oh man, that I wish that every single union out there, every single one in the game, in the entertainment industry in general, because that's the beautiful thing about us, right? Is that represent the entertainment industry. But there's other people, other colleagues, other identity, and we can just sit in a huge round table and say, whichever is negotiating any type of AI contract, we have like the commandments. This is the minimum. If they can serve this, we're fine. But this is gonna create inconsistency because at the same time, not everybody knows what AI is. And a lot of times, people that write the contracts and people that are even in the bargaining table might not have a clear idea or understanding of the tool that is being used, even though they're there to represent us because we're all human, right? We're all human to the best of our abilities. And that's something that we need to really work at so it
yeah.
doesn't repeat.
Um, yeah, I think it harkens back to what we talked about at the very beginning of the stream, which is, we need to know and understand in order to fight the fear that surrounds
No,
it
yeah, it's
and
it's the number one
adequately
thing.
battle it. Yeah. Um, Jonas says this is an issue across the entertainment industry. Employers say some of
Yep.
it pertains to folks at biometrics for security badges, etc. And also, A Saraviapt is Andrea. So glad to see you in the chat. I never remember everybody's username,
Oh, that's awesome.
um, except Daenerys and Stussy, because they're always here, and I'm so appreciative of that. They're great
Supporting the
chatters.
community.
I would love to give y'all some sort of super badge, but I don't know how to do that. Someday I'll figure it out and I'll do it. Um, SAG never had AI on their contract language, which there is now. Yeah, I was surprised they got the AMPTP to meet every 6 months to discuss where AI is at that time. Yeah. I mean, the IATSE is at the bargaining table right now talking about AI, so I am very excited to see what we win for the basic agreement, but we'll find out. They have until July.
Well, the cool thing is that if we even if we can get the majority people that might not have such a good contract with independent studios, contractors, or whoever, might do the good thing of maybe elevating the certain demands that because they don't have a union or they're not part or anything like that, somehow protect them, give them like a benefit so they can attract more people, because this is going to be a thing that it's going to be a sort of a type of compensation for workers, because it's going to get so bad unless we do something right now that we're going to be looking at those AI clause almost like the benefits in our health insurance. That's literally how it's going to boil down. So we literally need to act now, educate, talk, and just understand that this is not run by one individual. To It's like every major studio, every major conglomerate, they at the end of the day they just need to make money to the shareholders, and their job is to make money at all costs, regardless of the working class.
yeah, they want to milk as
Yeah,
much
pretty much.
labor out of us as possible for the least amount of money.
That's literally it. That's the way that the world turns. That's the hyper capitalist society that we live in. And right now, Congress, because of lobbying being one of the major defining factors in American politics that destroys, well, not only the economy, but also our society in general, a lot of companies are talking to lobbyists, trying to get money into politics so they can pass laws that are pro AI, or where they can self-govern. And I don't know which one is worse. Either the bunch of old people that don't really know how to start a computer deciding the fate of hundreds, if not thousands, millions of workers, or having like the three companies manage all of this and dictating what is best for us.
Yeah, and that's why it's so important that we have
Yeah.
power in our labor. Um, because without that, they do make all the decisions for us, right? Um, Stussy says educated active members for the win. Yes,
Yay.
ten
Let's
thousand
go.
percent. I love an educated active member. Um,
Listen, even if they're willing to learn, that's the whole thing. Even if they don't know everything about AI or about what's going on, the fact that you're either researching, you're here, and you're just, even thinking about this is a big deal. Because a couple of years ago, specifically around 2008, 2009, when I started college and I started paying a lot more attention to the game industry, I would have never imagined so many people being vocal about the state of the industry, because that was borderline impossible to see in 2008, 2009, because that was a big taboo. And we're now doing podcasts and interviews and shows, something that I never thought possible.
yeah, it was a really different it's a really different time for organizing and for labor, you know.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know anything about unions until 2020,
Oh, that's fine,
late
man. It doesn't matter
2019.
when you learn. It's that you learn and you understand that it's not about the individual, but the collective action itself. Literally like a Spartan war. That because nothing's gonna get through us,
Yeah.
because all of us are pulling our weight, and every single one is looking out for the other. And Yeah, I met people that are kind of like angry because people that have seniority in the game industry complaining now that, oh, why are you talking about unions? Why didn't you guys talk about unions then? Why didn't you start mobilizing then? Uh, it doesn't matter really when you start, as long as you just go through it, man. As long as you show that interest and you also try to educate other people around you to the best of your abilities, because this is a very strong topic and it cannot be had with everybody. So you gotta pick and choose.
As we always say, the best time to start a union was yesterday. The second best time is today. Um, so, for the folks who ask why we didn't do it a long time ago, well, we didn't. How about we do it now, though? You know,
Yeah,
we shouldn't discount doing it now just because we didn't do it before.
let me put it this way: we have the cure of cancer now. Okay, I don't want the cure because you didn't have it 8 years later and you're just gonna let everybody else die in the future. No, that's come on.
Hmm.
Like, it's like, we understand that people went to stuff that was unnecessary in the game industry years prior, but we also need to come to the whole understanding that we need to see beyond ourselves into the next generations, into the next students who are coming right behind us. Because if not, there's no generational change. It doesn't change. It's just the same over and over and over again until you're unemployed and you end up in your car alone.
Um, Zephyr Zen says, it's mind blowing that the phrase fake it till you make it is effectively the mission statement of AI art development. Many in my generation grew up raised on that phrase. Sure did. Is that
Oh
similar
my
for
god.
you, Carlos?
When growing up, I grew up in Puerto Rico again. I never understood that, and I always had like the whole imposter syndrome for a long time. Ooh, I'm getting like a little flash. Open. Apparently, there was a little error. Give me one sec. Oh,
Is it
it was
talking about the
flashing.
performance session?
Yes, I don't
Yeah,
know.
don't worry
I
about
never
it.
used this, so it popped. I'm like, what is this?
You're good.
Where was? Yeah, where was I? I literally got like a big pop up just came into my
Uh,
screen.
Fake it till you make it.
Vacant to make it. Yes, back in Puerto Rico, that phrase was never used around me, or I never heard it. And I first heard it like 2015, like more into the states. And when I heard it, it was such a it was such a foreign thing. But being in the industry and working with people, I can now understand. Oh my God, there's so many people around me that do not know what they're doing, and they're either learning as they go, learning through the job, or straight up not doing the effort to learn. You know, all of those things.
Um, I faked it. I maked it.
We all do, man. We all do. Okay, let's call a spade a spade. We all fake it until we make it. It's just how we do it and how we go about it. That's the matter. It's literally the moral thing of, do the ends justify, you know, the means. Man, in this case, as long as you're not using it to hurt other people, because fake until you make it has been used, it has been weaponized against workers.
Yeah, as
As long
opposed
as you're
to
not
like
doing that, like,
supporting
it's okay in
people.
my book.
Yeah, as opposed to
Yeah.
supporting people when they're like feeling doubtful about their own talents. Um, Stussy says Amazon doesn't like all the union talk. Yeah, maybe that's why our streams are almost always fucked up.
Listen. It's Jeff Bezos' house. We are Twitch right now. I know
Mm-hmm.
Daddy Bezos is listening. Listen, I just went to an Amazon store. I just returned something. I understand. It's horrible. It's
Yeah.
dystopian like, because it doesn't matter where you go. You're using a tool that you need. It technically belongs to them. Twitter, one of the greatest websites for journalists, for the workers' movement. Now, X by Elon Musk. And we still use Twitter to communicate.
Yeah. Um, I think this was a thing that I think about it a lot, where like we're bound to these massive social media platforms and there's no alternative.
No, there
So
isn't, because
like there's no alternative Facebook, there's no alternative Twitter, there's no alternative Instagram. Um, and
there's
with
no
the
competition. It's all a
yeah.
monopoly because it's
Mm-hmm.
only owned by two people. Literally, all social media is owned by almost 2 to 3 people. That's it.
Yeah.
And if we like, listen, we just learn from social media. So we need to apply what we learn adopting social media in the household in our lifetime, also apply to AI. Apply those lessons because it's there's very much similarities like the way that social media presented itself to us, the same way that AI is presenting itself to us right now. And
Yeah.
you know, one AI to do everything, one mega company that knows everything about you.
Yeah.
That's the dream. That's what they want.
The hive mind. The
Oh yeah, of
singularity.
course. We're
Yeah.
going full sci-fi, man.
Oh boy. I wanted flying cars.
No, that's Bowen. Don't say that. Don't say that. Okay. And by the way, let's talk
No.
about. I'm
Uh,
gonna I got all the things happening right now currently with unions in my head, and Bowen's one of the big ones that I'm paying close attention.
yeah, no, Boeing's terrifying.
Mm.
Anytime I fly, I'm like terrified. Um, Meta just recently released their AI for Facebook, and they replaced the search
Yes.
bar with it. The AI controls the search for all Facebook content. Well, Facebook knows that I really want to buy a vintage camper.
Ah.
No,
Oh yeah,
I'm
not for
just kidding. I'm
sure.
not. I'm sorry. I'm not making light of your comment, Jefferson.
No,
Um,
no, no. But it's dude, a little bit funny here and there helps the conversation move along and
yeah.
everybody be comfortable because we cannot be loom and gloom and saying, oh my god, everything doesn't matter. Darkness.
Right. We got to get up and fight for our rights, which, we have to have hope. We have to have the hope that we together collectively can make change.
Yeah.
And if we all come together, we can make change. That is the labor movement in a nutshell. And
And
that
it's been
applies,
proven.
yeah, and that applies to government. That applies to your workplace. Um, that applies to student unions. That apply like, oh my God, the students at Columbia and all their professors.
Oh,
Wow,
that's amazing. That's
just
oof. We went
amazing.
back to the 70s, baby. Let's go.
Love it.
Yeah.
Um, I love people coming together and using their power as a collective um, to fight for justice in an unjust world. Because a lot of times we don't necessarily see justice in action. Um, you know, I'm gonna go on a
It's,
rant.
no, no, yeah. I'm just thinking how
I'm
how
like,
much
let's.
everything has changed and how little we have changed. Because what in 1970 we had some of the most important strikes in the other union that ever. Like, I think the last major wings were around there to the 90s because in the 80s was disastrous. And at the same time, Colombia was protesting, everything that was happening in Africa, South Africa, apartheid, and just seeing the correlations that happen in human nature, how we're back at this. Because as long as there's greed and there's human beings, some people cannot understand what's fair, and they want it all. They want to hoard it all because they believe that they deserve it. That's really what it comes down. Because a lot of the people that control AI currently, they're not that smart. They don't do that much work. And what they're doing is just collecting data on your hard work, on you, and then using it for their own business to then replace you.
Yeah, and making sure that we have a seat at the table to negotiate around those things so that they can't just replace us is how we can protect ourselves and our longevity in our careers, and also, get better representation in government and all sorts of things. Um,
Yeah, it's the only safety that we currently can have that we know is possible and we know that works. Because we cannot wait for the government to take action. Like we already talked about this, that's gonna be a no-no. And the only way to make the government pay attention and companies and capital owners pay attention is by sitting at the table, uniting with one common goal. And it's simple. I want to keep my job because I want to be a productive member of society. You know,
yeah, I mean, I want to keep my job because I want my house. I want my health insurance. I want
I
my
want my
family.
treats. I want my treats.
I want my snacks.
I want to
You
go
know,
to the movies.
yeah. I mean, you want to live a life free of worry.
Yeah.
But when and when your livelihood in terms of your employment is on the line, all of that is up for it's up for, I don't know where I'm going with this sentence, but
No, you're good. You're good. You're
you could
late.
lose it all ultimately is what I'm
Yeah.
saying, and it worries people, keeps you up at night, and nobody wants to feel that way. So if we're willing to do the work and fight the fight to win a seat at the negotiating table with our employers, then we can have a more secure future, and ultimately feel better, live happier lives.
I would just say that this is such a common thing for us right now. It's such a collective danger for every single worker out there that you have Bryan Cranston up in Hollywood, big Breaking Bad actor, talking about AI, the dangers of AI, how it can be predatory to coming up actors. And then you literally have the union that literally that represents every single vehicle manufacturer here in the United States. And they're saying the same thing, that two different worlds, two different philosophies. They might not share anything in common, but they're united against the same cause, against the same problem. And here's where propaganda, lies, and a lot of misinformation comes in to create a wedge. And that's what they want, just create a wedge, and then they can milk us. But if there's no wedge, then we can fight together. Then we can talk,
Yeah,
then we can communicate, then we can support each other.
level the playing field,
Yeah, that's the only way.
you know. um Andrea in the chat says, so that's why trying to search for something on Instagram is insanely difficult. Yeah. I mean, also the algorithm and all the things
Yo.
that work against us. Instagram is like, it's just abysmal anymore.
I'll let you into a little secret. There's a reason why the U.S. government doesn't want TikTok. You know, even if it's another company outside the United States and they're taking our data for God knows what, so is Facebook, so is Instagram, so is everything else. But specifically in TikTok, the algorithm is not dictated or controlled by people with interests that are lobbyists. And that happens a lot in social media, specifically in Facebook, right? Twitch is getting up there and other places that people use as telecommunication nowadays. And TikTok doesn't play by the same rules that we have in place, so information can get to us a little bit unfiltered. And we're gonna get our information about what's happening with AI and the government and when they're talking through and by the companies that we are fighting against. And automatically we gotta keep that in mind, that the tools that we use sometimes are the tools of our enemies, but they're vulnerable to any sort of attack or manipulation.
Yeah. I feel like they just want to control all the media we get, which sounds very...
God, that sounds like Alex Jones. My bad, yo. Like that went full. Like I went full. The frogs, man, the frogs.
We went full circle.
Yeah, I just went full. But it's weird because when we're talking, it's not science fiction.
Even the wildest conspiracy theories have some root in truth. Some.
Yeah, that's how it works. It's a big lie, but you throw a couple of spoons of truth, and then it becomes believable.
Mm-hmm. But we're not Alex Jones, okay? Please,
guys, I'm fine. We're not Alex Jones. We're good, guys. We're good.
I'm not gonna start yelling. And Daenerys, we're not gonna start talking about the frogs. Think of the frog. I mean the children.
Think about the frog.
If I'm gonna think about any frog, I'm gonna think about Pepe the Frog. The original that was not turned into a hate symbol.
Yeah, that documentary, yeah. Oh
Yeah.
my god.
There's a guy on Instagram that animates Pepe the Frog, and it's just like the most incredible animation I've ever seen. So,
I'll be honest, he's so weird, he's so creepy that even before he was a thing, I didn't like the design. It was like an ew design. And then it was co-opted by the far right, and now I'm like, ew, even worse.
yeah.
I'm sorry, but I don't know if we can take Pepe the Frog back again.
No.
It's like it has like the smell. It has the smell that a lot of those people have. You know, you've been to like you talk to them face to face. They have that little stench in the basement, like basement dwellers, and you're like, no, I don't want to do this. No, no, it's okay,
Um,
Pepe. Stay there. Just push Pepe down. It's okay, Pepe.
yeah.
We lost you.
I
We'll
feel like
develop a new frog.
we got way off subject.
That's
But
what
that's
happens when you're
okay.
talking to me, yo.
That's
No, man, you can't let me.
that's okay. But regardless of how people smell or how they feel about frogs,
Mhm.
we need to link arms with them on in solidarity. So it's important that the working class rises up against the hyper billionaires, elite rich folks that currently run our country. Anyway,
Yes.
we do have to wrap, Carlos, but is there
Okay.
anything that you want to share with everybody who's listening? Any like words you'd like to impart? Either about AI or anything, really.
No,
Union
literally about
related. No frogs.
union related. No frogs. Dang it! I was coming with more frogs, but it's not hopeless. We can do something about it, and something really important. Even if we wake up in the morning and we take one step, we took one step forward. We did something. A lot of times, because we can't see immediate change, we get very frustrated with the community, with ourselves, and everybody around us. But this is a process, and we need to go step by step. But at every step of the moment, you're gonna have your brothers and sisters next to you fighting the same fight. Damn,
Oh
that was
yeah.
sweet.
That was awesome.
I don't know where that one came from.
I'm gonna quote you.
Yeah, you can use anybody can use it.
Yeah. Carlos, it was amazing having you on. I really hope you come back, please.
Oh man, for sure. I
Um,
liked it.
yeah.
It gets me fired up now. It's like, oh man, I want to read more. I want to read Noam
Yeah.
Chomsky again.
Um, it was amazing having you. I look forward to the next time that you can come on stream. Um, everybody in the chat, it was awesome chatting with y'all today. Everybody was like
I
so
didn't
into
see
this.
anybody though. I
I
hope
know you
that
did,
this was
but
enjoyable at least, and you can understand what I was trying to convey.
chat was popping off. But also, just a friendly reminder, you can grab a digital copy of our zine right down here if you scan that QR code, or you can go to linkup.top/gameworkers. Our zine is there. Also, big breaking news, our GDC panel is live on the GDC Vault for free. Anybody can access it. It is also available at that link up top, /gameworkers.
Breaking news.
Which is where that QR code will take you. But there's a lot of really great stuff there. Our organizing FAQ is there. Our website is there where you can fill out our survey. There's a button right there to click to get in touch with an organizer if you feel so compelled to get started on your organizing campaign today. I'm here to help you. Hit me up. But we will be here, same time, same place, same Twitch, possibly different guest, unless Carlos wants to come back next week. Would love to have you. But we'll see. But I hope y'all have a wonderful week, and we'll see you next Thursday. All right, folks. See
Ciao.
y'all. Bye.